Hello, and welcome to Good News That Actually Is, where 3 to 5 sets you free to thrive. 3 to 5 minute encouragements to help your joy by empowering your soul. I am your host, Tim Ashley. Well, hello everyone. I'm here, your host Tim Ashley on Good News That Actually Is, with a friend from Alabama, Tricia Gunn, and a grace teacher that I was introduced to some time back through some other mutual friends, and have had the privilege of hearing much of her teaching and been blessed richly by it, and I believe you would be too. Tricia, could you tell the listeners just a little bit about yourself?
Well, I guess you could say I've been in ministry for a few decades now in different roles. Probably about maybe 10 years ago, I started writing. Well, actually, I wrote well before that, but I had an encounter with Jesus. I guess it's about 12 or 13 years ago now. And my eyes were open to grace. And I tell the story in my book, Unveiling Jesus, and also there are clips of it online of me, a video testimony of that. But long story short, my eyes were open to how he sees me, who I am in him, but more importantly, what he accomplished by shedding his blood for me on the cross, and the great demonstration of love there at the cross. And so a few years later, after I had written a lot of blogs and so forth, I did write the book Unveiling Jesus, and I've written another one called I Am Free since I wrote Unveiling Jesus. But what I do is, I'm a teacher, like you said. I have actually taken the past year off. And that's really coincided with the virus and not being able to travel. I was actually going to come and see you guys in Knoxville and canceled that, along with some other things. I really felt like the Lord said, stop. And I have done that, and I have not picked back up. Well, recently we started having some meetings, some gatherings in our home, and all the other things kept on rolling that I didn't have to do myself. We have a show on Gospel Truth TV called A Real View of the Grace Life, which is women sitting around a table talking about Jesus and the grace life. And we haven't recorded any of those since last January, because I did not feel like we were, that I was supposed to do that. I felt like I was to step back. So they've been playing reruns. But I've led a lot of conferences. I've done a lot of speaking and traveling, and we'll pick back up on all of that shortly. We're getting ready to revamp so many things. I've got a lot of meetings going on in preparation for that, but you'll hear some things soon.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Glad you're getting back to getting going again. It'll be good to hear from you again. In fact, we met at a Grace conference that you were helped coordinate and spoke at, and all of that. And that's how I got introduced to the fact that you were such a great Grace teacher. So I'm sure the listeners would like to hear a little bit something from your heart along the lines of encouragement in that. So if you have something you'd like to share with them, if you would please just take a moment and do that. That's what this particular podcast and video platform is about. So
yes, that is my honor to get to do that. This past year has changed my life. What God wanted to show me is something that I think that he wants to show all of us. Mm-hmm. This year has been about getting to know God, getting to know the person, the nature, the will, the plans, the desires the love, the grace. We do talk about grace a lot, and we talk about love, that unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
But God wanted to show me more. He wanted to show me how he cares about every detail of my life.
Yeah.
And how did he do it? Well, he has given me a word every single day. And I just want to give you a visual of what that looks like.
Okay.
I call it, and this is a book I'm going to show you, and I print it out, but I start out on my computer. It's called I Will Do Immeasurably More Than You Can Ask or Imagine. But I have 2 of these now, and you see how thick they are. These are the words. These are the words.
Wow.
And I'll tell you
something. And he will.
Every single day, he has shown me something about himself. And we look at our problems, and we look at the mountains before us.
Yeah.
And we go, God, help me. But you know what? If we look at Jesus, we will see the answer.
Yeah.
Let's go deeper. Let's look at him from Genesis to Revelation.
Yep.
And like we always talk about, we want to rightly divide the word of truth. We want to make sure, whether we're looking at the old covenant or the new covenant, and don't be taking things out of context and all of that. And so we get into all our grace teaching talks about that, right? The cross was the dividing line of history and so forth. But I'll tell you something you can never take out of context. You start in Genesis and you go all the way through. You can never take out of context the nature of God.
That's right.
The kindness of God, the plans. If he said it to Jeremiah, I know the plans I have for you, to prosper you, not for calamity, to give you hope in the future. Take it to the bank. That's because that's who God is.
Mm-hmm.
You got a hope. That would be for us the joyful, confident expectation of good in our future. And so I always, I've started a thing called Watering Hole for the ladies, local ladies, our grace girls. And I started it last week. So we were literally just sort of revamping, starting to have some gatherings and meetings. And this one I say, you can invite anybody you want to this meeting. But what we're going to be doing is coming into agreement with God. We're not going to be unloading, I'm not saying don't do this because, there's no condemnation in Christ. You can do whatever you want. But my focus in leading this is not going to be that we all dump all of our problems out.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
And but honesty is good. We're not into denial, and we're not into, sort of superstitious. I can't say anything bad. That's right. Not true either. But just trying to I feel like God has given me a calling now to say, I want you to tell my people how good I am. Yeah. I want you to train my people in my goodness.
That's it.
And so what we've got to do is we've got to get a little bit of a perspective shift away from our mountains and onto the mountain mover, Jesus Christ. Because, this is what Jesus said of himself. He said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. So he is the image of the invisible God.
Yeah.
Right? Look to Jesus, read the Gospels again. But I said to the women the other day, I said, I had a stack of Unveiling Jesus books, and I wanted them to take them, because if you want to invite somebody to this meeting, I want them to start. And this is, there are other books, there's other great teachings and teachers, but this is an offering I have, because what we're going to be doing is starting at the beginning line, which is actually the finish line when Jesus said it is finished.
Yeah.
At that point, he became sin and I became the righteousness of God in Christ.
Yeah.
And so where I begin when I approach the throne of grace is I'm as righteous as Jesus is. I will be treated just as Jesus is treated by the Father. He's so pleased. He said, this is my beloved Son in whom I'm well pleased. And so you're going right there with the pleasure of God. So ask anything. Ask and imagine, and he will do immeasurably more.
That's good. That's good, and you saying all that and just talking about it's not a time for just, going over everything that's wrong or everything that's bad or everything that could be bad. 2 Corinthians 10, when it talks about pulling down strongholds and capturing thoughts, we're not capturing them to bring them to our own obedience in that passage. We're bringing them captive to the obedience of Jesus, and we're reminding ourselves what he did. So doing that, being positive about who he is and what he did, isn't denial of reality. It is the actual recognition of it, because that has become our reality in him by faith, And so I love that you're doing that and you're taking that approach. I don't see it as odd or strange or too demanding or anything. I see it as something healthy, because he would that we would prosper and be in health even as our soul prospers and is in health. And that's the reason I launched into this. It's just, normally it's 3 to 5 to set you free to thrive. And it's just very short podcast of nothing but straight up encouragement. But on these Friend Fridays, I have the flexibility of letting it go a little longer, because I like to interview folks like yourself who are immersed in this kind of thing, where it's all about what Jesus did. It's all about what took place at the cross. It's all about what is ours, after that event took place. And so, with that in mind, I can't see any better encouragement to offer somebody in life, whether they're lost or saved. And so that's why I've really appreciated your ministry, because it's so saturated in the scripture about who Jesus is and what Jesus has accomplished and what that means for us. And so that's always a very valuable resource, and I really greatly appreciate it. It's a tremendous blessing. It's a blessing to have you on here today, and you give up your time, because I know you're coming off the heels of, taking that break. So I was really glad when you said you'd do it. Now, everybody hearing this is going to want to know a little bit about how could they connect with you or find you or get access to some of your resources, etc. So could you give a little information about how they could go about doing that? Is there a social media, website, something like that?
Yeah, I am pretty horrible on social media, and sometimes I'll check those messages on Facebook, and they'll be weeks old, and I'll have to apologize. I'm sort of allergic, but we're gonna get more involved on social media. I'm gonna actually get some help with that. But if you go to the website parresiaministries.com.
Can you spell Parresia for everybody? Okay.
Yes, Parresia, ministries.com. You'll see, on there, you can join our mailing list. You can find our Facebook page. You can find our Instagram. I have a personal Facebook page. I dribbled out a few scriptures and songs and so forth in the last few weeks, just kind of whenever I'm like, oh, I want to put that on Facebook like people do. But we'll get into more material, more content in the coming days once we get it all going. But I feel like I want to say one more thing, if that's okay. I don't want to take too much time here. I want to tell you what the word God gave me just today, because every day is a new day. He said, daily manna. Mm-hmm. And I went back and read in Exodus about the manna. And, one thing about it is it depended on the family, and it depended on the situation as to how much they needed. Okay. Yeah. Some needed a lot, some needed a little, but there was never too much and there was never too little. It was just based on what each family needed. And that's good. And but it wouldn't last till the next day, except of course on the sixth day, he said on the day of rest, I don't want you gathering. So you could gather twice as much on the sixth day. But what God has shown me is that I've been praying for some things, and I know y'all have prayed for big things, and we all have trouble, right? Yeah. We all have trouble. And here's the thing about it. The manna is for today. If I was sharing probably a couple of years ago with someone, I had something huge that I was praying for. It was a big problem. Yeah. A very serious situation. Still praying for that situation, by the way. But I shared it with somebody, and that person said, well, it could be 10 more years. And that was a moment I stepped back from that person because, and don't think I'm saying things don't take time. I'm living it. I know they take time sometimes. But what God has shown me is I'm giving you manna for today.
Yeah.
And what I did for you happened 2,000 years ago when Jesus took that problem on the cross. And so for today, if you're going to look at the future, all I want you to see is my promises and my goodness. And I will even give you visions. I will give you pictures. I will give you hope. I will give you faith today.
Yeah.
What's to come. So today is the day. You live in this moment right now, and you go to that watering hole, and I will give you what you need for this day. Because Jesus said, he didn't say don't think about tomorrow. He said don't worry about tomorrow.
Right.
It has enough trouble of its own. What I want you to do today is look at the birds. Look at the lilies. Yeah. My Father takes care of the birds, and he clothes the lilies. Of how much more value are you than they? And so you just get back into that place. And what you're doing is connecting with heaven. You're connecting with heaven at that moment where there's rest and there's peace and the work is finished. And so that's my word for today that the Lord gave me, which I've had before, but manna, it's daily. Yeah. And it's Jesus. He is the bread of life, right?
Yeah. You know, all that could be summed up and it's as simply as saying, Dad's got this.
Yes.
Because he does. And he wants us to be able to be like kids again. The idea about being a kid again is not simple innocence. It's just knowing that he cares. We have a Father who cares, and he'll take care of everything concerns us. And even those things about the future you mentioned, today's just one step toward that direction. So I need the manna, like you said, for today to make sure I take the right step in that direction. So according to faith and what he's shown me. And so that's great. Man, for those that couldn't see it, if you're on the audio podcast alone, when she was talking about him speaking to her each and every day, she held up 2 very thick notebooks of notes to show everybody that's looking on video. So, big notebooks. So that's how willing the Father is to communicate with his children. So be encouraged. Thank you so much, Tricia, for coming. Thanks for tuning in today. Never forget that you are loved by a faithful God whose obedient Son, Jesus Christ, willingly died on a cross so that you can live today and always from the abundance of his life in you. Please subscribe and share this with others so that they too can experience the 3 to 5 that sets you free to thrive. And be sure to tune in next time to Good News That Actually Is. Please visit us at our website, goodnewsthatactuallyis.com. There you'll find transcripts of the program, video files, and other opportunities. We look forward to visiting with you there and ask you to subscribe. Have a great day. Coming on.